Hey everyone, welcome back to Red Road Paranormal Podcast. My name is Kristina Bloom. I am a psychic medium and Alaskan native, but don't have any tribal affiliation. I am also a paranormal investigator with Adirondack Park Paranormal Society. And I am here today with my co host, Bobby Resnick Calkins. And then I'm going to let him introduce our guest when he's finished introducing himself.
Hi everyone, I'm Rez, member of the Stockbridge Muncie Tribe, Band of Mohicans, a paranormal investigator and cryptid investigator with Wisconsin-based team, Cryptids Anonymity in the Paranormal Society. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Barry Webster from Rez Squatching Research. You might know him from the stuff on YouTube, Bigfoot Odysseys, or even from the movie Ci Tonga. How's it going, Barry?
Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys.
It's an
Well,
honor
thank
to
you.
have you on with us.
Yes, thank you for being here. So I have to say, when I was watching both Ci Tonga and, oh, you just said it, Bigfoot Odyssey, was that it? Bigfoot Odyssey.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with your story about your relationship with, first of all, Ci Tonga or Bigfoot, but also in how you let your faith guide you to that relationship and to how you do your investigations. That fascinated me. People don't often talk about that in the paranormal or cryptid world.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
So, can you tell us a little bit about how you got started with connecting with Ci Tonga? I know you're having some allergy issues. So am I. I keep drinking stuff to keep my throat wet too. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I want to ask you again to excuse me a little bit. I got a little bit of allergies going on, so I'll try my best here. I guess I'll start with first of all, it started out as a challenge, and I'll just paraphrase. My son challenged us after the community was experiencing a lot of activity, and then as me and my brother and eventually others came aboard, including my cousin Elvis, um, it started to form, and the team kind of came together, but we we struggled with maybe an approach, you know, after we had thought about it. We were doing the same old thing, the status quo thing. And then it was clear to me after praying about it and after having some very initial encounters, there was no doubt in our minds. And not only that, but the history of our people and the Ci Tonga people, that this was deeper than just a bunch of guys getting together going to investigate, or as the secular world calls it, a hunt. So it was pretty apparent to us that this was more, it had to become more spiritual and more traditional in our approach, or even, it was more about how did we do it as a native people, as Umaha people. Um, then it ended up being that one day, the experiences and in the encounters started to get what I would call into that learning curve. The more we were out there, the more they wanted us to know where we stood with them. And that was hard to fathom even, let alone share with people yet, one thing led to another. And this is where, I asked a question to myself, why didn't anybody ask God? And then, it was like, it was this journey happened. Um, it was more, he started putting things in front of us and putting people adding people along the way. One of my grandmas told me one time, she said, she called me on it. She said, I hear you're looking for Ci Tonga. And that stopped me right in my tracks. I turned around, gave her my full attention, and I thought I was going to get scolded. And I did in a way, but I knew I needed to face up to that, because I wasn't going to lie about what we
Right.
were doing. And at the time, it didn't dawn on me that we were doing it in a respectful way, you know. And that was hard for people to accept because nobody had done that before. Nobody challenged the status quo, so to speak, and let alone who did the research and listened to the elders. And I even believe there was inspiration from God here. She told me, she said, grandson, she said, when you go out there, she said, you speak Umaha to them. They understand us. And I remember, putting that in my head, like, wow, that, because that's exactly what we were doing. And like a good grandson, I listened, and then she said, pray with them. And then she said, pray with them, pray, and then be humble when you go out there. And so to me, we call it the three pillars, if you want, but I call them our values, of what we do. And it's those values, it's those beliefs that have really propelled us to fulfill this journey, you know. And so I say that not to take away from anybody, and I encourage anybody to find your way, often I find myself trying to maybe say, look at what we've done based on what God's blessed us with. And I'll continue to say that. But I believe that if you're listening to me, you can take that, but pray about it, because I really believe it was God's journey for us. This was our journey, and if you can take from what I said, our beliefs are our, as the secular world calls it, our model, so to speak, then more power to you. But it was more of a quest, and it was our plea to God to find the answers to that. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah,
Totally
makes
makes
perfect
sense to me.
sense. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I hope that answers the question.
It did answer the question. Rez, did you have a question? You look like you were thinking about something there.
I have so many questions.
Jump right on there.
So now when you're referring to like Ci Tonga, I know like I do when I'm out in the woods, squatching or however you want to call it, hunting or investigating, which I prefer investigating. I refer to him, as my big hairy brother, my big furry brother, that connection. And also when I go out, I lay tobacco down as an offering, to let him know that I'm here in peace, I'm here, and that I'm looking to communicate with them, looking to interact with them. Do you guys follow like similar stuff like that with your actual beliefs on who they are and how to honor them other than just prayer?
Well, I know I didn't mention that, but those were those things you talked about were always prerequisites that we always had in mind. I had team members later on, and I forgot to mention her, and I hope they forgive me if I leave names out, but Kristina, isn't this supposed to be about me?
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding.
Supposed to be about Ci Tonga, but go.
Yeah.
I'm just messing with you. Sorry.
I hear you. No, I think I think universally, I think you'll find that if you didn't learn it from somebody, everybody pretty much picked up on that. And but more importantly, I think that may be the truest a sign of respect when you can go in and offer them something. Now, I think after all these years, I think they kind of allow us to get away with it sometimes, where we just start talking and I tell them a little bit about God and share a scripture with them. But no, I totally agree that has to be a prerequisite. I know I mentioned prayer, but a lot of times, like today, our community that is experiencing 4 deaths in the community again. We believe that God takes us in fours, and that happened today again. And so I plan on going out, and I find that peace, when I go out to my hot spots, and I just talk, and more importantly, I talk to God. And so yeah, that was and is a part of what we do. It depends too on the occasion, the time of the
Right.
year. So, there's times when we do, maybe really emphasize the gifting part. Like if I have a guest from, for example, international country, then we allow them to use their traditional instruments to honor them. So it's kind of been a combination, of things. And I think that is, again, the utmost respect you can pay to them, when you do things like that. And they understand that,
Absolutely. And I know, Rez, you said that you offer tobacco, and I get that from a traditional standpoint. I don't know. I'm always drawn to offer like blueberry muffins or something because I figure, they might not smoke, but they're probably going to eat. So,
Yeah.
but I don't know. That's just what I've always been drawn to do, which is like you follow your faith, I follow mine. And I can't say I've spent a whole lot of time going out looking for them, but I do know that when they're in the area, I can feel it. I feel their presence. It's like a warmth in my heart that I feel. I don't know another way to say that. I literally physically feel like a warmth in my heart when I know that I'm in the presence of Sasquatch. And it's really interesting because I know I'm going to go out and I've never visually seen one, but I know that I'm going to experience contact if I'm drawn to take something like the muffins with me when I go out into the woods. It's like hey, remember to bring our snack with you kind of a thing. But that's interesting to me because you've had so many encounters with the Ci Tonga, and I feel like you probably have with a lot of other. I don't know if you would call them like spirits or cryptids or whatever, but when you go out into the wilderness with that kind of peace in your heart, I feel like good energy just is drawn to you. So it might not just be Ci Tonga, but other energies as well that are drawn to you. Protective energies, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that myself. So
You know,
no, one of the things that kind of got me from the Ci Tonga movie was you're the first person I ever heard mention something about having blue eyes. All the status quo, as you say, of the investigators out there, they're always talking about amber eyes. Can you elaborate a little more about how you're seeing these colorful eyes out there?
yeah, I'll be the first to tell you that that I personally don't understand all of it, but I do know this that I see this bluish kind of purple eye almost all the time, before they come around. Now, again, I don't have a scientific background, but I do know when I see that that they're there. Now, I had a thought, Kristina, and I'm not trying to brush your question off there, but you said something, and I try to be intuitive to that. You said go looking, and looking was a key word for me because, you know, I I don't know that, people would, I think in the Bigfoot world, if you hoax, you do any kind of not so trustworthy things, you know, people will figure you out, right?
Very
Yep.
quickly. Yes.
Yes, and they will destroy you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to believe after all these years, and I'm getting more comfortable with with maybe mentioning it now. After I've said 10 years ago, if you were to ask me, Barry, do you think you have a relationship with them? I probably would have said, man, I'm just not so sure yet, you know, despite all the things that happened. I I've had a good friend say, Barry, he said, I believe that you are the feel-good story of the Bigfoot world. And I said, that's really flattering. I said, but I have to give it to God, you know. So now after 15 years, you know, um, I have to say it, and I'll say it on your show that I believe it now. I wholeheartedly believe that if there was a 10 million dollar question, I knocked it out of the park.
Absolutely.
With all the evidence and all your experiences, I'd have to agree with that totally.
Yeah, and believe me, I boy, I hope I hope we don't have to scratch this one because of my coughing, Kristina. But I'll say this, that I had a friend stop me in Walmart and he said, "Hey," and Kristina, I think you the Outcast Paranormal on YouTube, right? You missed that one.
I
That
did.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's where
haven't
the
seen that one.
document is at. And the Ci Tonga Spirits and Faith. That's the title of it on
Okay.
Yeah.
It's Outcast Paranormal. Okay.
yeah, on
That
YouTube.
was that was one of the first times they came out to see you guys, right?
Yeah,
Before they made the movie.
yeah. They're just a great bunch of guys, man. Um, it's interesting because I made and they'll probably get a kick out of it, but I made two white companies compete, you know. Third one couldn't make it, but they all competed to do that. I wanted the best company to step forward.
Mm-hmm.
And so they came up and said, all right, man, we'll compete for it. So they were gracious enough to come up and we spent a couple of days together, investigated, got to, meet face to face, and we basically they put the dog and pony show on for us, and we chose as a collective, we chose the company that we thought would do us, some justice, and that was Outcast Paranormal, and both groups were outstanding. I hope they watch this. None of them's offended because it was a good thing, and um, it was very close voting. Um, Outcast Paranormal won over, and I wouldn't change a thing. It was I thought, you know, outside of giving the full story, we gave them some teasers a little bit, So
Yeah, I remember in watching, I believe it was Ci Tonga, when you had a there was some paranormal investigators that came out, and you'd split up into two groups, and in that cabin, there was a lot of paranormal stuff going on. So they were actually doing like a paranormal investigation in addition to like a Ci Tonga investigation, right?
Yeah, yeah, it was kind of combined. It was a unique thing.
Yeah.
We just didn't want to do the same old, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we're always trying to not reinvent the wheel, but just do something different.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, that was pretty amazing, I thought, to take the two worlds, which aren't actually, I don't think, all that different, but to bring them together in one show was pretty cool to watch that. And then um, you that's for those of you who don't know, this is our second recording because we had a problem with the first one. So in the second recording, I wanted to bring up something that we had talked about in the first one, and that's how normally people go out to look for Bigfoot, and they're like yelling and banging on trees and throwing rocks and doing all kinds of stuff that I would think would be aggressive acts. But you guys don't do it that way at all. You do it completely differently.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I'm glad you brought that up because I think early on, you know, that was something we tried, you know, but like anything, you know, you always go through a learning curve. And that's
Hmm.
why I say when God inspired our minds and our hearts, things just totally changed. And so it was my approach. And through inspiration, we actually changed the whole thing. And thank God we did, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Rez. I can just feel you chomping at the bit over there.
Rez
Yeah.
Johnson. I'm gonna call him Rez Johnson. I like that name better.
Oh, oh.
Ooh.
All right. Now there's two of them that were actually named Stevie, and then there was the big gray one that was the first elder that interacted with you. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but what was it like the first time you guys actually got to up close interact with him?
I'll tell you what, whoever you know, um, thinks that they're ever gonna do or have that kind of encounter, um, even in your wildest dream, you know, you'd probably say, "No, they're crazy." You know, that guy's crazy if he thinks that. And I think what was more interesting though, um, Bobby, was the things that were leading up to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean, I was, you know, I don't consider myself a spiritual guy, you know, but I will say this that I believe in God, in Jesus Christ, you know, and so if that's fair, I'm also a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Now, most people, the ignorance will say, well, he's a Mormon, you know, look at this Mormon, you know, when I know that the gospel of Jesus Christ is for everybody, you know,
yeah,
and so today, you know, because of the confusion and the deceivement, you know, we all want to put ourselves in sections and religions, you know,
Hmm.
and to me, that's really sad, you know, because it's a divided, you know, we're just confused and divided from a spiritual perspective. So today, you know, I knew in my heart that it had to be about God. And I say this because, you know, I think even members after they watch this will say, and Barry's so right. And I know that because we've talked about it. But it was like we kept getting more and more and more, you know, to the truth. And I'm not talking about truth in the sense that I saw one. So, oh, he's claiming the truth now because he saw one or face to face. It's way deeper than that. and I don't care to go there yet, but I know this, that it was something that kept coming, you know, and then um, then when I asked, you know, do we share the same God, and do you believe in Jesus Christ? Those kind of questions prompted what I know to believe a face to face. Now, does that mean everybody in the country who ever sees this says, well, I'm going to go do that? Hey, be my guest, you know, but I know for our journey, that's what happened. In retrospect, I look back and it was the timing, you know, it was the timing of everything. And that's what made it so beautiful. Um, I know I mentioned before that I could probably step away from this world or the Bigfoot world and I'd be okay, you know, because I've been able to do some things that you know everybody else has been chasing their tail, you know, for years. And I can honestly walk away and be okay with telling uh my kids and my grandkids my story and sharing with them some evidence that we have. I really could. And and I would be fine with that because I truly believe that, you know, that was our journey. You know, that was my journey. That was through inspiration of through my faith, so to speak. Now, I don't know if I totally got off the question or not, but I guess
Well, whether you were on the quest or not, the answer was beautiful. So thank you.
you're welcome.
Go ahead, Rez.
So
I can just see you. You got lots and
Oh,
lots of
Rez,
questions.
I don't know where to go. There's so many of them,
Rez
you know.
Johnson. Let's keep
Rez,
it game now, Kristina.
Rez Johnson. All right.
Yeah, I don't know why that came to me, brother, but
I'll let you call it to me.
all
I'll let
right.
you call me that. You know. But yeah, well, off the Ci Tonga a little bit. Change the topic real quick. Do you guys have anything with what you call it? Dogmen up there? Is there been any kind of sightings like that, or any other cryptids?
Yeah, you know, we have the legendary deer lady, deer woman.
Hmm.
I remember as a young boy, I don't care to go into detail, but you know, we have the similar legends and cryptids like every other, you know, native nation. Um, we have the dog man. Um, my sister Linda Joe would probably say, you know, we had a firsthand encounter. Um, I kind of thought after a while, I kind of thought it was a Black Panther, but boy, then my brother and them had my cousin and my aunt and my brother. They went out and they had a just blow your mind encounter with what I believe was the dog man, and that's what I wanted to experience. So I went out and we actually that's when I thought, you know, it was a Black Panther. And so, you know, I don't know that I'm as as a, they say I'm chasing that, you know, but I
Yeah.
welcome it. And we've seen black shadows, you know, that I think that comes with the territory, right, Kristina?
I agree completely. Yes.
And so, you know, we've learned to deal with that, you know,
Mhm.
and I know this, that the power of prayer, you know, I hear people talk about that a lot. And so when we're out there, we feel protected. And so there's not a lot of fear, you know, even though people, you know, experience that and they feel that, you know. So you know, I don't have no complaints, you know, but yeah, I do know that we have that, you know. It's just not my you know, forte, as Kristina would say, huh?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There are a lot of things that are not my forte. I do believe, though, and this is my own personal belief, that once you open the door to the extraordinary, I feel like you can have more extraordinary experiences. It's not just one direction that it goes. It's not like the doors are labeled, Ci Tonga here, Dogman here, spirits here. I mean, that's one door. You open that door to the extraordinary, and you're able to experience more, whether it's seeing or hearing or smelling or what feeling, whatever it is, it's there. Once you open that door. And I don't find that door to be scary. I never have. I've had this ability for literally as long as I can remember, and I've never found it to be scary. My experience with going out into the woods and finding spirits or beings or the enlightened ones that I personally think that Sasquatch, Ci Tonga, that's an enlightened being, and that's always been my feeling about it. They can communicate very effectively without the use of words, because they can communicate feelings, they can communicate thoughts, they can communicate in ways that are beyond what our normal human communication is at this point. And so for me, when I have had an encounter like that, like I said, I always get this warm feeling in my heart. And I always, when I get that feeling, I know that they're there. I thank them for their protection, because I'm out in the woods. They might be protecting me from bears or cougars or mountain lions or heaven only knows what out there in the woods. But I always feel protected when I get that feeling, because I can feel that they're around, and I don't feel the need to see them to know that they're there.
Yeah.
I just know. And so I leave a gift, here, have a muffin, have a cookie, enjoy. So that's always been my feeling when working with anything in the cryptid world. And cryptid is a new word to me. I mean, I've been doing this since I was a kid, but I never thought of the word cryptid. I just thought these are enlightened beings and they're out there protecting us in the forest. And that's been my experience.
Yeah. That's beautiful, Kristina. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's very much different than the going out and hooting and hollering and banging on trees. And I mean, my gosh, if somebody walked into my house like that, I'd be closing the door and locking it too.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, most definitely. I'm new in the cryptid world over the last few years myself. I've known about things being out there, but I never bothered going looking for them until I joined a team, and they're like, "What do you think about going out squatching?" I'm like, "Well, I'm down to investigate anything, but I personally have never investigated at that point in time, because why go looking for something that is already there?" Was always my theory. And with everyone showing up with blurry pictures, I didn't have an interest in it. But once I joined the team and I started going out with my team to our research areas, I started seeing more and more things about this. And a lot of times, they'd point something out. I'm like, I see that back home on the Rez all the time. And go for a walk in the woods up by us, and you'll find structures. You'll find different things that lead to what people believe is Bigfoot activity. So that's the one thing that where I'm looking at it both from the scientific quote unquote, I guess you'd say white view of things versus my own native beliefs that I've been raised with and I've accumulated myself on how to go looking for them, how to interact with them. That's me. Now, Barry, I've heard some tribes up here that say they've had Bigfoot come to their ceremonies and their sweat lodges and stay within like the wood line. Have you guys experienced anything like that?
Well, absolutely. That it kind of I think that's synonymous with anything related to natives and their traditional ceremonies. I've heard stories way before I even started doing this, so that's always been there, and I don't mean to sound like a broken record or like I know, quote unquote, some of the medicine men, and again, it's just more proof that they do connect with us, and honestly, I think we've just kind of, as you said, Kristina, opened a door and reconnected. That's what I think we've done.
Hmm.
If you really want to just sum it up,
I
you know,
agree.
I think
I
we just
agree.
reconnected, based on what our ancestors, again, I take no credit for it. I know this, that I was in deep prayer, when I have some of these, and I think even Stevie wanted to go into a prayer with me when he showed up. Now, I would put that dude up against any of your Bigfoot any day. That's a bad dude, man. He was the alpha male. And so, anyway, I don't want to get off the subject here. Bobby Johnson, I hope that doesn't warrant a redo now, Kristina, and me giving him a new name.
Oh, no, no.
All
It'll
No,
right,
catch
no.
on, though.
all right.
He's stuck with it
Yeah,
now.
yeah, he come in with this swag native, shirt. I think that's what makes me want to call him Johnson.
Johnson.
Yeah, the
Native.
wife got at me for my birthday this year.
Oh,
So
okay. Kind of reminds me of like maybe a gangster thing, like Johnson.
Oh
Anyway,
my gosh.
uh,
I just had that old thing. You can call me Ray, or you can call me Jay.
yeah.
Because eventually it gets around to Johnson, but I don't remember the whole thing. Wow. So when I was watching Bigfoot Odyssey, and you were talking about having an extraordinary experience, are you willing to share that experience with us with shaking hands?
Oh yeah, okay. So you're talking about episode 8
Yes.
with Carrie Arnold.
Yep.
And bless his soul, Carrie left us tragically, and
Oh,
he
I
was,
didn't know that. I'm sorry to hear that.
yeah, he got in a, I believe he got in a car wreck, as he was coming home from somewhere. So he was a really good guy. We invited him up, and we just thought we had an interesting story to tell, and because everybody else was doing it, and again, I think, you know, for something like that to happen, Kristina, I I honestly don't think that could be duplicated. I really don't. That's not to take away anything Bobby's seeking or anybody, but to shake hands with one. I mean, I got family that's probably saying, "What the hell is wrong with Berdine?"
Yeah.
But it's hard to prove when I had 10 people behind me. It's
Hmm.
hard to disprove that. And I got everybody from police officers to nursing home administrators who are on my team to electronics people.
Hmm.
So how are you going to call them liars too? So I just tell it like it is, and I think I was blessed, to have that experience, and again, uh, if more people have things like that, more power to all of us, right?
Right.
yep.
I really hope Bobby has his. I know this that was special. That was special, and whether I have uncles who are probably saying, what the hell's wrong with that guy? He should leave him alone. Well, you know what? Here's my response. Okay. If I'm out there praying and being respectful, what's wrong with that? Right.
Exactly.
Nothing wrong
So,
with that at all.
so
Exactly.
you can and forgive me, Kristina, but you're just gonna have to kiss my ass.
Hey, I believe you. Come on, man.
If you don't like it. I mean, this was for all
Yeah.
all my critics out there. It wasn't for you,
Yeah.
Kristina. So you can take that one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm sorry, but I had to say that.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing to me, like, even if we bring this into the paranormal world, which I am much more familiar with, right? So we watch these paranormal shows, and there are people out there and they're antagonizing spirits to get a reaction. You're going to get that reaction. You're going to get an angry reaction. I feel
Yeah.
like it's the same in the cryptid world. I mean, if you're going out there and you're talking in a respectful way, you're reaching out with love and you're reaching out with peace and brotherhood, then you're going to get a very different reaction than if you're out there banging on trees, throwing things, yelling. You're going to get the same kind of reaction back, I feel like. Regardless of what your behavior is, that's what you're going to get back.
And
Oh,
that's what a lot of the teams out there is just looking for, is for that
That
answer back the
reaction.
same, that reaction. They're
Yeah.
not looking for the interaction, I don't think.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree, Bobby. And I think there's too much of that, look at us kind
Mm-hmm.
of
You know?
investigations, look at us and look at what we do.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
I I really believe that we didn't know what we were doing other than, I was going to ask God. And I'm sorry, but I have to take a little bit of credit for that approach. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I love my team, but when you stay close to God, He promises that He will unveil the mysteries of this life to you. And I took that to heart. And so today I can tell you that a lot of this is just God saying, you know, you're you're worthy of this answer, and I think it has a lot to do with faith also.
I agree.
So
Mhm.
I agree. Yep, absolutely. I know that when I go to do a paranormal investigation, I'm walking into someone's home, whether they're in a body or not, that's not the point. I'm walking into their home and I need to do it respectfully. And I need to do it with prayerfulness and with awareness and with peace and love in my heart. So I would, I feel the same way about the cryptids, about Bigfoot. If I'm going to walk into Bigfoot's home, which is the wilderness, I'm going to do so softly. Softly, because my hope would be, I have always felt like I've said before, I've always felt like Sasquatch was a guardian for me. And with that in mind, I'm going to go in there with a sense of gratitude and a hope that we will continue to build a relationship, a friendship, a kinship. And I feel like that's what you do when you go out and you talk with Ci Tonga. I feel like you are building relationships, building friendships.
absolutely.
You know?
You said that you could walk away from this any day from the Bigfoot world, and I believe you could do that. I don't know that you would want to walk away from the relationships that you've created there, though.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. And I say that kind of begrudgingly.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
you know, I think if we just take a big step back and think about all this, you know, um,
Right.
you know, I you know, um, I've met a lot of people in this industry, and like I said, everybody's out for the fame, the glory, if you want to call it that.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, we got caught up in it a little bit. We got a visit from some Hollywood people one time, and that was very tempting, you know. But I think deep down in our hearts, when we actually walked away from that and prayed about it and said, what does this prove,
Mm-hmm.
And and after some serious thought and meditation and seeking guidance, from the higher power, you know, I could let, and I don't know if this makes sense, but I could let sleeping dogs lie, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And take the truth with me. And you know what? I'm at peace with that. You know, I got grandsons coming up, and I guess all I want one day is for my grandsons to maybe watch one of those documentaries and say, "Wow, Grandpa, is that what you did?" You know,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
man, Grandpa, that's pretty cool. And And I would be so willing to pass that on. I'd much rather them play basketball like Grandpa did and get educated and help our people. But at the same time, don't lose sight of God's creation
Mm-hmm.
and enjoy life, because deep down, and it's interesting because I totally lost sight of, that we had this podcast. But earlier today, I thought, wow, how does that happen? How does uh, myself, for example, why would I have these encounters? We don't have enough time, to talk about all of it, but to have a juvenile walk up to me. Now I do know what that was about too. These ain't just random, things that are happening. It
Right.
all meant something,
Mm-hmm.
as I look back. That just don't happen to anybody. I'm sorry, guys, it just don't happen.
Mhm.
So
Nope.
I mentioned the gentleman who said, "Hey, Barry," he said, I loved your documentaries." He said they were interesting and we were trying to get last minute Christmas shopping done. So I actually stopped and I thanked him. And he said, Barry, he said, man, he said, when I was a boy, we used to be down there. And he said, we heard things. And he said, so man, I believe everything you say on there. And that was refreshing to me, Kristina.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something important to me. He said, Barry, he said, after I watched those and after those documentaries came out, he said, I think you were the chosen one to do that.
That
And I
makes
thought,
sense.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
thought, wow. I said, yeah, thank you, man. I said, and again, it's hard to be self-proclaiming or self-glorifying.
Mm-hmm.
It's always better when somebody else says it.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, come on, guy. I just don't hear of other people even coming close to this, And granted, Bobby has his soon, because I
Yeah.
think I think natives can do that, you know. And so let me be known for saying that, that this was our ancestors started this. Our ancestors were able to do this, even before we did.
Right.
Yep.
So I always have to give credit where credit is due, and this ain't no self-glorification, this was inspired by God, you know. So
Yeah.
let me be known for that,
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing I love about what you're doing is you're leaving something for the generations to come. You're opening up that door going, and you're going to inspire. There's going to be young ones out there that watch this or watch the documentaries you've done, and you're going to inspire them, whether it's the follow in these footsteps that you've started, or if it's going to be, just to research it. You know, that's kind of why when the purpose of this show came up, then me and Christina decided to do it. I signed on because like I'm leaving something behind for our future generations, next 7 generations or more. As long as YouTube's around, someone can bring this thing up and say, hey, we could do this now. You know, where a lot of our youth nowadays, they feel trapped, whether they're on the res or in the cities, they feel like they're trapped. There's nothing for them to do. Well, we're showing them, we're guiding them, saying, hey, there is something that you can do. You're not limited. And I think it's amazing with, being able to tell your story here because literally how many hundreds of thousands of children out there over the next several years are going to be exposed to the work that you've done, and how many of them eyes are going to light up and realize, say, hey, Barry was onto something. I can follow them footsteps.
Thank you, Rez, because that means a lot to hear you say that, because I'm not, and I hope people don't get jealous of that, and I've experienced some of that, and that's not going to be my 2 minute spiel, but let's learn and support each other as Native people, you know.
Yes.
Let's create a different mindset, and I see so much of this. Let's top Barry off. Let's tell a story similar, but it's for headlines, you know. And I'm gonna tell you that that's a pretty hard road to follow, you know,
Mhm.
and duplicate. And I mean that to anybody and everybody out there, you know. Again, it's about God, and if you don't have God in your life, then good luck, man. Good luck with the title of chasing Bigfoot, or because I don't believe in that. I don't even like that word, because it's not what I do. It's not what we do.
Yeah, I don't like the word hunting either.
Yeah.
No. We're not out there hunting. We're out there exploring. We're out there reaching out. We're out there investigating maybe, or in my case, I just go sit in the woods and meditate and see what happens. And a lot of
Mhm.
times I'll wake up surrounded by wildlife, not wake up because I didn't go to sleep, but come out of that
Yeah.
state of prayer and meditation, and there's a deer 6 feet from me, or squirrels running around, or whatever. And if I wasn't in a state of peace, that wouldn't be happening either. So as 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 you're out in the wilderness or the woods or whatever you're calling it, and in a state of peace and faithfulness, you're going to draw that to you.
Yeah. I agree.
Mhm.
There's there's something about the Holy Spirit, you
Hmm.
know, and I don't care what you call it in your religion, but I remember praying one time and actually, having this out of body experience, and that's when I know the Holy Spirit is there. I
Hmm.
mean, that's just the bottom line. This world, you know, for lack of a better word, we've lost our mortality. We've lost those values, so to speak. And the world is corrupted, obviously, and it even says that in the good book. But today it doesn't have to be that way. So
No.
my message to the world, or the Bigfoot world, whoever's listening, is that stay close to God, you know, and follow the Savior's example, and He'll give you your answers. So
Yeah.
I don't know how much time we have, but when you gonna let me
Yeah.
flex, Kristina?
You go right ahead and flex. Show us what you got.
Be our guest. Shoot some guns.
I'll
Yeah.
hold off.
All
There's
right.
Where's the gun show? Come on.
We have a
one
few
minute.
minutes left, so
All right. Let's give them
there we
one.
go. There you
There you
go.
go. You got a 6-pack to go with them or what?
Oh yeah, I can't reach my body up there to show the 6 pack.
Ah,
It's all
I
good.
I I'll say this, that for 2 years I've had impingement, and I ruptured a, a rear rear deltoid muscle, shoulder muscle. So that's been a long time coming, man, for not being able to work out for 2 years. So it's just nice to flex and see some muscle come back. So be inspired by it. Don't hate on me. That's not an arrogant, gesture. It's
mm,
just be inspired.
There you go. Be inspired. I think that's really,
mm.
I mean, if there's a theme for this particular episode, that's it. Be inspired.
There you go.
Yep,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So, Barry, is there any information that you would like to share if people have questions directly for you that they could reach you, or?
Yeah. Let me boy,
Yeah.
I got
Take a drink. Take a drink.
yeah. Kristina, this may answer a question you had earlier for me, and I think we've decided to move that back based on some unforeseen things that are happening at the casino.
Okay.
So we will, which again may be a good thing on your part, because we get to kind of, you know, take a step back and move it back, the event.
All right.
And so we'll be in
Yeah.
touch. We'll be
Awesome.
in
Let me
touch.
know.
Yeah, we're
You know.
planning a event that may feature Kristina, and obviously I'll be there with others. So we just, things happen, and so I think we've decided to move that back a bit, but
Okay.
stay tuned and we'll keep you informed.
Excellent. And if you don't, I'll be bugging you.
No, I really appreciate it, guys. I really felt comfortable on here. To me, that's always, a good thing. I
Yes.
think you guys got a great show,
Thank
and
you.
keep going, keep aspiring to those dreams.
Yeah. We came into this with the idea that, and it says so in our introduction. I don't know if you've heard the introduction, but it says here, Native America is a relevant and current society. It's not just in the past.
Yeah.
Although we have a rich history and we have multiple rich histories, both normal and paranormal. So, this is something that Bobby and I both felt strongly about when we talked about it, was that we wanted to and it kind of bring us, as a people into the 22nd century, or where are we? The 21st century? I don't know. Whatever century we're in here. It's like we wanted to bring our history and our relevance and our culture into it as far as other people could see. You know what I mean? Like we contribute to the world just as much as everyone else does. And I felt like that was like now is a really important time to bring that forward.
Yeah, thank you. And I wholeheartedly agree with that, Christina. I think today was just another an example of that, that today, this world is changing, the landscape. And
Mhm.
today, I guess you got to hear from, what we call ourselves. And if we don't believe it, then who is? But we believe we are the premier Ci Tonga research team in the world. And it was a pleasure to be here with you guys.
And
And to
I am
share some
honored
of
that you are here with us. Thank you so much.
Yes, it was an honor getting to
Yeah.
chat with you. So
You
thank you
Yeah.
for coming on.
You bet.
And I would also like to add, we're going to plug ourselves a little bit here. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, keep coming back because we got more and more good stuff coming. And if you wanted to schedule an appointment with me for a psychic reading, to talk to your ancestors, to talk to your spirit guides, you can reach me at psychiccristina67@gmail.com. And what do you have over there, Rez?
All right. Well, if you're looking to get a hold of me, you can always get a hold of me either through the Red Road Paranormal Facebook page, my Resneck Inc. Facebook page. If you want to kind of see what I've been up to as far as with the team, jump over onto Wisconsin Caps YouTube channel. There's a lot of great content coming out this year that I got a chance to be involved with.
Thank you, everyone, so much for being here. And I know that Rez Squatchers is on Facebook, right?
Yeah. Rez
Yep.
Squatching Research Community.
There you go. Awesome.
Come over and join us. We'd love to have you.
Excellent. There's a lot of good content on that page. I joined that page, so there's a lot of good content there. Thank you again, Barry, so much for joining us and for sharing your wisdom and your experiences with us.
Yeah, you bet. You're welcome.
All right. See everybody next time.